So you know how I said Undead Unluck was like a rising star of Weekly Shonen Jump? I might have put my foot in my own mouth. I'm not trying to say Undead Unluck isn't good. It's very good. It's a great series, very unique. But this series, Time Paradox Ghostwriter, is absolutely stunning. It's been a long time since I have been gripped by a new story. Like a story that I had no idea about, no context if it would be good or bad. Just, it's been a long time since a story really grabbed me, held on to me, and I had to sit there and read from start to finish. Now, currently there is only 7 chapters out, so obviously it's not that long of a read. But even then, it still doesn't change the fact, though, it's been a long time to where when I have sat down and read a series from start to finish, and, like, I've lost track of time, and I've just been so engrossed with the content that I'm like, I need more. Like, I need more. It's like, it's one of those series I wish had 50 to 100 chapters, because it's that good. So, before I go into anything, I'm just gonna say right now, if you love manga, and you want something to read, and you're really itching to look for something to read, stop right now and read Time Paradox Ghostwriter. It's so good. It's in Weekly Shonen Jump. You can find it on Viz. It's fantastic. So let's get into it. What is it about? Do you like Bakuman? Do you like Steins Gate? If you like both of those series, then you're gonna definitely like this series, because it's kind of like a weird mixture of the two. And I know that sounds weird. When you think about Bakuman, it's about 2 main characters creating a manga and trying to be successful in Weekly Shonen Jump and giving us insight into how manga is done. And Steins Gate's something else entirely. It's about time travel, saving someone's life, etc. It's so different from what Bakuman is. So obviously you're probably wondering, like, how do these 2 series mix and work? Well, let's get into it. And I will say, this is unique. Like, this is a really stunning series just because of the concept. So, Time Paradox Ghostwriter starts off with our main male character, Sasaki, that wants to be a mangaka. He is someone that is a rising artist. He wants to write a story that can entertain everyone. And obviously the beginning is definitely not a good one for him, because he is someone that is constantly getting rejected with new storyboards to be able to have his manga featured in Weekly Shonen Jump, and he's pretty much dedicated a huge chunk of his life to be able to actually become a mangaka. But obviously editors and all that keep rejecting him, and he's not able to really make a foot inside of the magazine. So because of that, he slowly loses hope as time goes on, and eventually, with his final attempt that he spent so much time working on, the editor says to him, you need to draw something that only you can draw. You need to give life to a series. You need to do something that doesn't feel empty, something that hasn't been done before, etc. And this is very, very obvious, and it's good advice. It's hard to swallow, but it's good advice, because when you're talking about manga in general, it's an art form, and it's about kind of giving a story and kind of having themes that are discussed within it. Like, when you look at, like, something like, you know, I guess One Piece, like, just the common stuff about One Piece, you get about friendship, you get about, you know, building bonds of people, family, etc. You know, regardless if you're related by blood, you know, your bonds as friendship really matters. This is just the common shonen theme, but there's obviously a lot more that One Piece does showcase, and that's kind of what the editor was trying to say, is you need to draw something that gives something to others that isn't something that others can draw. You need to draw something brand new. You need to draw something that only you can draw. It's kind of like Oda's advice. Like, about a week or 2 ago, I remember Oda said something in Weekly Shonen Jump with his editor comment. He said something about, like, he wants people to have a unique story. Like, if you can't write something unique that isn't done already, then you shouldn't write at all. I know Oda said something like that, like, a week or 2 back, maybe 3 weeks, but he definitely said it recently, and that's pretty much what the editor was saying to our MC, Sasaki. So obviously, he keeps failing. And at his wit's end, he decides to go home, it rains, and he's just all upset. He realizes that all this time, pretty much his entire life was pointless, because he can't become a mangaka. He's an empty person. He's someone that can't draw. He can copy others, but he can't draw. Then all of a sudden, lightning strikes his house, and it melts his microwave in this weird antique or like robotic looking toy. And as the microwave melts together with that toy, all of a sudden he hears a ding. He opens up the microwave, and he sees a magazine, Weekly Shonen Jump, from 10 years in the future inside of it. Now, I know what you're saying, like, so this is the Steins Gate stuff? Yes, but there's so much more to it than that, and I will get into, which it will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled anymore, I do recommend go reading it, but I'm going to talk about in detail what just happened with Chapter 7. So, after the magazine comes out of the microwave, he looks at it, and he's like, what is this? Like, this has to be fake. This has to be photoshopped. And he's just reading it, and all the stuff in the magazine from 10 years in the future, from 2031, is just completely brand new. Or 2030, my bad. 2030, not 2031. But basically, all the stuff in it is just completely brand new. He hasn't seen much of it at all, and there's this new upcoming and rising series called White Knight, and he's just like, whoa, like, this is a great series. Like, this is an absolutely amazing series. He was stunned from start to finish reading it, kind of similar to how I was reading Time Paradox Ghostwriter. It's actually the exact same. It's kind of ironic, honestly, that the series that he read in Weekly Shonen Jump is kind of how I felt while reading this series, while he was reading the series. Kind of Inception a little bit. But the point is that he read it, and then all of a sudden, he kind of, like, lost track of the magazine. He's like, was that all in my head? He's like, did I imagine that? Did I have a dream and it just, like, came to me all at once? And basically, he believes that he had one of those dreams. And this is something that does happen to writers. Writers have inspiration in their dreams. They go to sleep, they think on it, and they have this crazy story that happens, and then they write it. And that's what he thought. He thought he had a dream, and he was at a critical moment, and then he's like, I need to write this series. So, he decides to write White Knight, do the entire concept, everything as a one-shot, and present it to the editor. Obviously, it goes successful. It gets added, they like it, he gets his own series. As he finally returns home, he realizes that the magazine was actually legit. It was not fake whatsoever. So you're now probably understanding where this is going. Basically, the MC replicated someone else's manga. Someone else's work he infringed upon. He did not create White Knight. He actually stole it from an artist 10 years in the future, so effectively he changed the timeline of when this manga gets introduced, but also stole it from a writer that has been working on it for 10 years. And see, that's the thing, that's one of the big twists. You're like, wait a minute, this man didn't just steal a manga from someone 10 years in the future, but he stole something from someone that's been actively working on that for the next 10 years, and you just straight up just stole it from them. Like, imagine if you had a story, and then someone literally replicated the name and everything, you're like, how? How did you do this? Obviously, there's no proof, but how did you do this? It's gonna hurt you a little bit. Like, your whole theme you've been setting up, and obviously, he feels responsible for that. He's like, holy crap, I'm a sham. I'm empty. I literally copied someone else's work, and it's not even my own. And you gotta imagine the emotions you would feel if you did that to someone. Like, I can't even begin to imagine, like, just the guilt, because he was always told he was empty, he had no story he could say himself, or he couldn't, draw something that is different from others, and he had to copy someone to be able to draw it. It's just like, wow. But it goes so much further than that. You also have it to where after he starts to draw this series, he realizes since he's already ruined the timeline, since the series already presented, if he was to stop writing it now, the series would never be written ever again. So he's already ruined the artist's chance. The artist that would write the series already ruined. So he's like, I owe it to the artist to make sure this series is given to the public. At least, let's give it to the public. That's the least I can do if I've already ruined the future for that artist. And as he continues to do it, every Monday at 5 in the morning, a new weekly Shonen Jump magazine will come out of that microwave. And it comes out with a new chapter of White Knight. So what he's basically doing is he's taking the new chapters from the manga, copying them, and then he's presenting them to Weekly Shonen Jump. Now, the art is not one by one the same. He does do things a little bit differently because he is not the same artist. And he realizes that when it comes to writing White Knight, he's very inferior compared to how the original work is. And he tries his best to really uphold that quality. He has an obligation now. Now, as this continues to happen, he meets the original artist, the one that does it. And this artist confronts him. She's young, she's in high school, and she's like, oh, we were writing the same series and all that, and basically, because of that, she's gonna have to create something new. And so, in turn, he could just say, like, I'm sorry, I stole your series, but if he did that, it would just be to help his own ego, to make himself feel better. It wouldn't be helping her at all, because if he was to say that he stole her work, even if she somehow believed it was from the future, it would not make her feel good. It would not allow her to be able to write something new. If someone just stole your work, you'd be stuck on that for the rest of your life. So, obviously, he's a big obstacle. He is someone that is a rival to Aino, which created the original work. And because of that, he's an inspiration, and she tries to create her own work. So in a way, he kind of helped her out, because the world is not just going to get White Knight, but it's also going to get an entirely new series that no one has ever seen from this author that can be absolutely even better than White Knight. So that just, like, that's kind of crazy. But then the plot thickens. Chapter 7 comes out. And Chapter 7 is where things get to Steins Gate territory, even more than they already were. As he waits for the new chapter of White Knight to come out on Monday, 5 in the morning, through the microwave, a chapter doesn't arrive. It's on break. And he's like, what happened? Now, obviously, when you see this, you're like, did the series get axed? Is the author sick? Well, what happened? Well, then all of a sudden, he waits next week. A magazine arrives, and in the magazine, it states that the author of White Knight passed away. So you're probably thinking, okay. So what it's trying to say is that Aino passed away while writing her work. It never got to complete the story after like 19 chapters, which is just sad. Such a good story coming to an end like that, and it's something that's very common. It's something that happens a lot in manga. Not Weekly Shonen Jump, but just manga in general. It does happen. And not just manga, but stories it happens. And that's kind of like, imagine you get that news. He got news of someone's death 10 years in the future. And now he has to look at this girl and is like, she's gonna die. And he needs to figure out how she's gonna die. How can he save her? What happened? Did she get sick? Did someone come in and get rid of her? Like, what actually happened? And see, that's the big thing about this, and it leads to that mystery, like, how can he save her? So it's, like I said, a cross between Bakuman and Steins Gate, because he's inspiration for, like, a rival like Bakuman had, but also he's trying to save her 10 years from the future, because that's gonna, like, Steins Gate. So it's a really good series. I have to say, Time Paradox Ghostwriter is super unique, even more so unique than, I guess, Undead Unluck. I mean, I love Undead Unluck. Good new series, but this series is definitely something that's a page turner, something that nailed me in, and I'm like, I need to read this. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. If you have not read it yet, do so. It's good. It's really good, and I'm definitely going to be looking forward to reviewing this each week when it comes out. But I'll leave it at that. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And with that, Chibi out.